Okay, hi y'all. As mentioned before, my name is Ashley Franz. I am the owner of ANF Consulting, LLC. It is a marketing consulting agency where we work with Web3 companies and helping them with marketing and launching, as well as helping Web2 companies and bringing them into the Web3 space.
My name is Lila Polite, and I do a lot of things and everything. I've been in the business for 40 years, so that tells you how old I am. So I've been 1, 2, and 3. So you can ask me anything, I can tell you. I've worked on music projects, sports projects, film projects, web projects, digital marketing, to promoting, to whatever. So ask me anything, I can probably answer.
Well, I got the first question. I was just wondering, Lila, how did you get into, what was your journey towards Web3 and how did you approach it? What was your first big thing that lit the light bulb in your head? And, are you rushing towards it? Was it a slow grind? How was it?
No, this is just a natural progression for me. Like I said, I've been in the entertainment business for 40 years. I've been in the digital space since 1995. So it's just a natural progression for me from working with Viacom, which is very engaged in the whole digital space, internet, to working with what is now iHeartRadio. I was one of the first people, in fact, I was the first person to ever, not call streaming, but do a webcast of Summer Jam. Yeah, I did that. And they thought I was nuts. What? You can't make any money on that. So, I worked in publishing. I worked for what's now known as Future, but it was at the time called Magic Media, and we handled all newsstand magazines, like Mac Addict, Business 2.0, all the official gaming magazines. I helped launch Xbox. My job specifically, the entertainment division of this company, was to manage 17 different magazines, but all their online versions. So, from creating content, to creating ad campaigns, to how to engage people, how to do stuff, and, being the back end for a lot of other publications and a lot of other companies that are trying to get into the digital space. And just coming up with all these crazy promotional ideas. I won't even share some of them. They're just nuts. And so it was just to kind of, we just developed a lot of things that led me to foolishly start the movie business, but that's another story. And so you just don't make a lot of money in the movie business. Well, you can't, but don't just right away. So I went back to where I knew best, which was marketing in the digital space. I started my own agency, and I supported a lot of other agencies, worked with probably every major brand there is, from automotive to beauty to fashion to all that. So everything's just a natural progression for me. And people kind of hey, I look at this, I'll do that. Like, hey, this NFT thing is kind of cool. Web3 thing is kind of cool. I should be there. And I have a strong foothold in helping people create NFTs, but also developing in the metaverse. So I'm very much involved. So that's one thing.
Any questions? Yes,
Hey, Ashley. I'm a lawyer with a legal background similar to yours. I was wondering, I noticed on your LinkedIn you do a lot of contracts and compliance consulting. How much of that have you been able to do with the smart contracts, and how have you been able to work with that using your legal background?
Right. So in regards to smart contracts, I don't develop any smart contracts. I guess the aspect of smart contracts I consult on in regards to personal commercial usage, because that's been a really big topic. Another thing I consult on with companies in regards to like IP and making sure artists aren't stealing other people's things just because it's creative. For example, a woman unfortunately utilized a really big brand's whole logo, image, everything, and I mentioned to her like, yo, they're gonna sue you, and she's like, well, I'm being creative. Yeah. It doesn't matter. And to go back to the point I think you were talking about earlier in regards to like usage and liability, there was a brand called Meta Birkins, and they used the word Birkin in the name of the project in the actual like look of the Birkin, right? So most people don't know that they actually not only trademark the name, but also like copyright and patent like the Birkin like bag. So what the company did was they sent a cease and desist to the person who created it. The person already made money from it, and then OpenSea took it down. I guess they took legal action against the person. Someone else utilized Yachty's likeness and his name on a project. They again, they went directly after the person who created the project. They're suing them for over like $2 million, et cetera. So a lot of times it's telling people not only how to like protect what you have, but also making sure that, you know, you're not utilizing, you know, somebody else's. And then thirdly, also in regards to like compliance and making sure you're keeping up with what's going on. I know we were talking about like the SEC earlier, and someone's already been trying to file paperwork in regards to NFTs around that already. So kind of just informing them on what's going on and making sure you're keeping up with the latest things. The law is usually the last thing to catch up in regard to these things, but especially with the recent attacks on OpenSea, and now there's a really big lawsuit against someone who lost money from their Board 8. I'm pretty sure they're going to see a lot of law changes based on how this like case comes out. But it honestly directly ties into when I'm consulting about projects. So it's not necessarily just something separate of like, okay, let's talk about the legal aspect of it. But when I'm talking to people about their projects and different things that they need to have, it's kind of woven into it, if that makes sense.
So I'll piggyback off of that. So I do also have a legal background and work with one of the top crypto lawyers. So who's also an entertainment attorney, happens to be my right. So a lot of that is IP protection. And one of the other reasons I got into this is I'm, you know, like I don't know if you watched but I'm very much about getting everybody off the plantation and kind of doing their own thing and protecting people and making sure that they can, you know, like evening the playing field, particularly for women of color. So the legal aspects are really important to me, you know, making sure that their stuff is protected. Things. So, I'm happy to share my attorney's name. Really good to talk to him. And he also codes and develops.
So, thank you.
Yes. Go ahead. Yes.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So, first of all, I have to congratulate you on handling that. The polite woman and this girl, right? Wonderful.
That's right.
I love it.
Yeah.
Question for both of you. What do you think of the metaverse? Is it the next big thing?
Oh, I love it. You know, I'm about the multiverse. You know, so you know, the metaverse is cool. You can do whatever you want, do whatever you want. You know, I was part of second. And so Sansar is one of the companies that work with in developing things in the metaverse. And they were second. So it's just a fabulous place. I work with a lot of other partners, developers, you know, in creating these environments. And everybody wants to be in it. But people still want to be in the real world. So I would suggest that they get involved. And so I do mixed reality so that you can be, you know, you can be an avatar against the real world. You can see me in the flesh, not just in the real world.
Yeah, just to piggyback on, as I mentioned to you all, the metaverse has been around for years. We just called it something different.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely a fan of it because it allows people access to things that they may not have access, for instance, with concerts if they're overseas. For me, it provides options for people. I think that's one of the biggest things that I like about it in regards to, like I said, whether it be for the actual artist and creator, it's a lot cheaper to have a concert in the metaverse than to try to curate something, you know, in person. But a lot of people do still like to have, you know, the choices, whether that be to watch, you know, whether it be like disabilities or pricing or what have you, you know, through the metaverse or in person. So I definitely think we're going to see the progression and adoption of it more and more and more throughout the years. But I think, as you mentioned before, it's more so of a choice than something that's going to completely take over everything. I'm really big on hybrid marketing and aspects as well. So whether it's, like I mentioned, like a listening party or a concert, I like to have multiple options, whether it be, you know, through the metaverse, like streaming, or you're able to come in person.
Right. Yes, I'm in the process of building out some virtual museums for legal aids for Juneteenth and for an agency that manages a lot of different arts. So we're building out a gallery for them and also an art place. So yeah, and it works. And for recording artists, so you can actually interact with your fans without being there. So you don't worry about being but you so.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, Jeremiah mentioned that, there's about 300,000 active wallets. 1/10 of those people are the creators. So native Web3 sites, like you said, aren't even accessible on Chrome and Safari. So clearly we're in the very, very, very early stages. When is that window of opportunity? How much longer do you think we have as like early stage before big tech comes in and closes all the doors again, and the ability for the inclusiveness and the wild west is going to be gone? Like, how much longer do you think we have?
Big tech is already doing that. So yeah, they're already coming into the space. But what I think, and again, I could be wrong with Web3. Web3 was created to level the playing field in general, right? I would say it's kind of similar to social media because you're able to basically start a business, start a brand, make money online, and you don't really need anyone to help that. That kind of helped level the playing field for a lot of entrepreneurs, even musical artists and creatives, to monetize without having, a label. And I think Web3 takes that to another level. Well, I think it will keep the playing field level unless there's crazy regulations that come into place that say otherwise. But all these tech companies and places, they're already in. They're already in it.
They're in it because they want, they want the data, they want
Ownership.
Yeah, they want ownership. So, it's all about commerce from day one. How do I keep up with what you're doing, what you like to buy? So they're kind of gone are the days where you really got into like the psychographics of certain things. You understood your audience and how to engage with it. Now you can pretty much just push a button and find out who's doing what. And so that was a way for them to, control and to sell you. I mean, some of you are anything fighting you're still on Yahoo, but you get those contextual ads. And, you're typing something, all of a sudden this ad would pop up like, hey, how did you know I wanted some new underwear? So, we use that stuff like crazy. I thought it was creepy, but people use it. So Web3 allows for you to kind of move about and control your stuff without somebody being in your pocket. But the problem is, it takes a big engine to make those things work. And so a lot of us don't have developers, don't have that big engine, don't have the money to support it. So, hey, well, Ashley, I like you, hey, you want some candy? What my mission is? Yeah, so that's how they get you, so you have to be careful with that. Try to maintain as much of your independence as possible.
Not to bust y'all bubble, but I heard that it's good by savings. If that doesn't kind of put in perspective of it. And again, like she mentioned, for some people, it's let me create something to sell it, and I'm cool. And then there's some people who are really big on, I want to create a marketplace where we own its ownership and not these big tech companies have their hand into it. But again, to do that takes a lot of capital and a lot of people to come on board. So it's I would say it's a slippery slope, but it's hard. It's hard to create these things on your own. So it's like, well, how much am I selling out? How much am I willing to sell out to keep this going? But also being able to continue to offer and provide for the consumer.
Right. Yeah, you have to get in bed with people like a marriage or like dating or whatever. You pick and choose who you get in bed with and try to measure where their heads are at. A gazillion people hit me up about something every single day. I don't get in bed with everybody. You just can't. And then you can step them out. And I got bullshit radar. Okay. I can smell it coming, see it coming, whatever. So, so you have to, just kind of stick to your own, stick to your vision.
When encouraging recording artists to take advantage of Web3 stuff, have you experienced any conflict or pushback from labels or had any issues there? Because obviously that entire model as it exists today is basically like the antithesis of Web3. And so while everything we're talking about sounds great in theory, to implement it into the real world, not just starting independent artists, how does that work? Have you
well, that's, I've been dealing with that Because I started this. So you have to, but I'd say when I first started doing like these streaming showcases, we made it to that, like 2006. These artists that wanted to go digital, wanted to get away from their labels and all of that stuff, you know, started coming over, you know, we're making videos, we're helping them do their thing. You really don't need a label, you know, because they have money, that's how they get you. It's, oh, we'll handle marketing for you, we'll do this for you, we'll do that. You don't even do that. That's exactly. Yeah. So the more you do, the more they'll do, kind of. So no, it's not that difficult. But you have certain artists that just are lazy. You know, they don't want to put in work. Oh, I got a deal. You know, oh man, I got it made. You know, and then they run down and go buy some fake jewelry, or they go off something to get whatever, and they're nowhere closer to where they were. They don't understand that whatever money they're giving is a loan. It's not an advance. You got to pay that back. Some kind of way you got to pay it back. So I strongly encourage people to, again, do their own thing. Protect yourself, understand your compromise, understand what you like. You know, and understand your royalties, where your money's coming from, and where your stuff is. You know, we put some software and some systems in place to help you track, you know, wherever your stuff goes. So you can pay, you know. But so, you know, you look like a person, you know, that's reasonable. Some people you talk to, they're just not reasonable. They say, oh man, how much money you got? You know, like, if you take it up front, chances are you're not going to get anything on the back.
Right. So I was, just to like clarify a little deeper, what I was sort of referring to is like pre-existing artists who already have a library of music where the licensing is owned by their labels. Like, I guess, is that all going to have to be left in the past and only like new and emerging works are going to be able to transfer into Web3, or do you think there's a way?
No, there is a way, because what NFTs do and what this does is help you leverage your IP. You know about trading and you understand stocks, the Bowie bonds. That's how David Bowie, that's all the NFT is a bond, is a stock, is a way to leverage your intellectual property, understanding you can make money off of that. With your art, your rare sneakers or whatever you have, that's how you flip that. He understood that could make money with licensing and sales and all that other kind of stuff. He got $350 million from selling his catalog. You know, you see more and more people do that. Now, some people are in some crappy deals, and they don't understand how to repurpose what they have. You know, like at one point we were doing concert films, and we would just take dead catalogs and flip them into concert films, you know, digitize them, remaster them, and work directly with the artist or their managers. Because the record labels, well, it's dead, I can't do anything with it. Okay, I can do a lot with it. I can do a lot for that artist with it, you know, and I want to see it. So there are ways to kind of purchase. Some people are just going to be stuck in the mud, stay on the plantation, do this. Don't worry about them. Just worry about you.
I know some labels now are incorporating NFTs into their contracts.
Yes.
To where that if you create an NFT that they have to, get a percentage of it. I know some artists who are currently in contracts to get away from it, they're posting mixtapes. Because thankfully labels are very, very strict on what's considered an album or what's considered a body of work, which is why people have been in contracts for so long, because they have all these crazy things that mean for a body of work. But mixtapes, they protect most contracts. Labels, they can't touch your mixtape. So for the positive, for a lot of these artists, it's like, cool, I can put a mixtape as an NFT and I can make money and I don't have to worry about, the label taking a percentage of it. Another thing I like to mention with musical artists is that music is only one aspect of what you can utilize as an NFT. You can create tickets, merch, NFT memberships that a lot of people haven't been utilizing. It's something I've been pushing for a lot of my musical artists. Very similar to subscribing to like an OnlyFans or something like that, where you pay a percentage for an NFT, you get access to exclusive content, behind the scenes, etc. So there's tons of other things that you can utilize to monetize off your brand and your likeness outside of music. But as I mentioned, a lot of these artists were signed. Currently, they can put their mixtapes on there and they don't have to worry about the label. Now they still have to pay the producer and everyone else who's involved. But that's a way to kind of like skirt around it.
Yeah, we have a platform that allows an artist to come in. We shoot them, we use volumetrics to shoot 4D as opposed to 3D. Shoot them live, and then we'll flip that directly. That video goes like studio to NFT. No middle people coming in, you thing, capture the moment, kind of like the top hat. After that moment, fill it in. And then you can repurpose that, take highlights, put it on wherever you want to do with it, shoot it out over text. I don't care what you do with it. But there are lots of, like you said, we do, what we call it, another type of campaign. So you can do, one-on-one, you can do, a private session. You can charge for it, or you can just give it away for free. There's just lots of different things that you can do that don't involve lots of hands.
This day and age, the artists that make the most music don't make that money because of their music.
Right.
Rihanna is a billionaire because of her brand. Like when she got on her contract, she was broke. Well, she only had like compared to what her catalog was, where she was broke. And the reason she's same thing with Kanye. Same thing with Jay-Z. This day and age, it's just very different. You're not really going to be making that money unless you are doing something else outside of just music. And that's something I always like to preach to artists that I work with. You're not going to rap forever. Why are you on tour for 10 years? Y'all wonder why your favorite artist is always on tour? Because that's the only way they make money. They don't get nothing. 1 million streams equals less than $30,000 depending on which platform you are. And they get 0.000001 from that. So they're always on tour, which we love. But they're on tour 10 to 12 months out of the year because that's the only way they make money is from shows and from merch. And you get burnt out a lot doing that year after year. So I would like to tell artists, create a brand. There's so much more you can do outside of music. Like you like games, be a person on Twitch and video stream, get into NFTs, sell merch, create a business, etc. So that's like talking about longevity and artists who actually are billionaires and trillionaires. It's because they're monetizing off of their brand and their likeness, not just focusing on music. Which is why I'm not mad at Rihanna. They'll never tell me music. That's some change.
I'm okay with it.
Right, that's some change compared to what making now sense.
Yeah, concert promotion, touring is a great money. Allow me to put my daughter through Cologne.
Quick question for you, Ashley, based on your consulting company. More recently, with people who come to you for projects, do you see a lot of like quote unquote mom and pop people coming in to do it like organically? Or do you sometimes see people who are one high net worth individual or a group of high net worth who will basically try to throw like $1 million on a project or something, hoping to turn into like 5 million? Or do you see that kind of both types of clients?
Yeah, so I would say probably like 30% of the people are the mom and pop ones that are coming up. The 70% are more so they're tech people themselves and they can develop it and really don't need anyone else to do it. Or these are people who, have money, have a lump sum, and they're trying to, get into the space. I wouldn't say I've never had anyone be like, hey, help us. We're just trying to do X, Y, and Z. Here's a certain amount of money. But I did have a company tell me, like, we need to drop in 2 weeks. We have investors. They're going to give us X amount of millions of dollars for this. And I said, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I can't help you. So you need to either tell them they need to wait, or I don't know what to tell you. So for me, like just hearing that's not a particular person that I want to work with, because I'm not going to put my name on something that I know I don't have the proper time to execute. But I would say a good 90% of the people I have conversations with do understand that it takes time to build a community, because they've seen all of like the rug pulls that's been going on, and they'll tell me like, yeah, I had most of the marketing companies, they just want to like use bots or use this, and I want to be organic. So thankfully, a good chunk of the people understand, that you need time in regards to like build a community. But again, it's all about that execution. I don't manage pages, so I provide strategy and assets and stuff for people to be able to execute. And whether they do or don't, that's kind of like on them and on their team. But yeah, I would say thankfully I haven't come into encounter with too many people that try to like spew that out me. But again, I'm very good, as she mentioned, of discernment, as my mom likes to call it, of seeing, who to work with, who not to work with. And for me, I don't really care about one thing I know how to make money, so I really don't care what type of like dollar amount we're going to do. Like God's always provided left and right, so I never see it as a missed opportunity. But just because there's been so much scamming, and I really see on Twitter people talking about losing tens and thousands of dollars, and these aren't the millionaires and billionaires. These people don't have money to pay rent. So this space was created to help people make money and help creators make money, and it's unfortunately being used by a small number of people to take advantage. So I just know for me, I know what I stand on, and I'm really big on making sure that any project that I work on is a solid project that's providing for people and that's not about people.
So even some of the big ticket clients coming with good intentions.
Yeah, of course. I definitely have people who have the coin and are trying to, make stuff happen. Because, it's crazy. A lot of people who come to me, they told me they retired and were in the tech space and they came out of retirement because they sold a company or did this and do that. And now they want to like try it and they have like the budget to do it. So I definitely, plus raising money as a Web3 company is super easy now. People are getting like $20 million and don't even have a website or a deck. So if you're thinking about it, shoot your shot. I ain't mad at it because I'm definitely working on one too.
It's the truth. I mean, I had somebody that I helped start an art business that just got $8 million. I'm like, you don't know shit about this.
Right, exactly. So they definitely have the money.
They have the money for it. So what do I tell them? She just had PG&E come to her to do something. What do I do? I'm like,
yeah, they definitely have the money for it, and tons of these, especially when it comes to hiring. That's another thing. I'm really, one of the reasons I got into Web3 is for especially musical artists and creatives to be paid a certain way, but also to bring other Black people into the space because there's so much money from these startups and they're overpaying for whether it be for social media managers, developers, accountants, etc. And like they don't really care if you don't have that much knowledge of Web3. They just want people who are good at their jobs. So if anyone is in tech or thinking about different fields, I would definitely go on LinkedIn and check out these Web3 startups because they are coming out with the equity and the bonuses and everything like that. So they definitely do have the money, which is great. But again, I'm really particular about not even saying every person I choose not to work with is a scam, but again, it's a discernment thing. There's just certain things that are for me and certain things that aren't for me. So I just try to be really careful about what I choose to like stick my hands in.
keep it small. Keep your you can feel people. At the end of the day, people buy people. You can be on every, social media, tech, whatever. People buy people. People can feel your sincerity or your bullshit. So, be all right, Alabama.
Yeah. Okay, I saw 1, 2, 3. So I'm saying, okay, go ahead.
Well, thank you for sharing your experience on my interest on creating work here. I was just wondering if you all had any resources to share or that you're utilizing to educate or accelerate women or underrepresented communities in this next step of adoption of 3D and metaverse.
Yes, I offer just my time. I'll give you my information. Pick me up. I'll be happy to talk to you.
This is it.
Yeah, I would say the same thing on my socials. Daily basis, I'm providing just information in general in regards to Web3, how to get into it, etc. I know there's specific people who will have classes or do like Twitter spaces on a weekly basis. If you follow me, especially on Twitter, I can guide you. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to do weekly Twitter spaces, but I'm always sharing in regards to information and updates across my social media channels on a daily basis.
Especially LinkedIn. You post some good LinkedIn stuff.
Thank you. I don't been going back lately on there. So yeah, definitely connect with me on LinkedIn, Twitter, and like I said,
I've been on panels from here literally to Africa. So,
get her classes.
yeah. Yes.
I just had a question on what types of clients you work with. Does it tend to be more like CPG companies that are looking to launch an NFT or like Web3 startups that are providing Web3 Kool-Aid? Just trying to picture who are the people getting behind these projects.
Yeah, most of the people I have conversations with, they were in tech and Web2 and they're getting into Web3. So developers who work at tech companies, they're hey, we want to start an NFT project. And then a small percentage are current Web3 companies. So I do marketing for NFT marketplaces and blockchain technology companies. But majority of the people I work with, they're tech people who are hey, we developed and made everything, just don't know how to market.
I get it. across the board. So big brands to folks that develop the cloud for Amazon to, just somebody called me the other day that had a book, hey, can I turn this into NFT?
Well, and I think you had your hand up, right?
Okay, well, this is for both of you guys. I'm an attorney. I work in sports and entertainment as well. So, like, brand ownership moments and stuff is really big in that industry. We talk a lot about how record labels are kind of incorporating NFT stuff into what they do. Like, I've seen some of that with, like, Empire and things like that. But on the sports side, I'm curious to see, like, what do you guys think NFTs potential is in sports, considering moments are so big in sports. Like Georgia, they won that national championship. The guy who got that touchdown or whatever, the interception. I guess a huge moment. How do you see that intersecting with
Let me tell you about
broadcasting rights and all of that?
In those moments, okay? Back in 2009, I did those for the NFL. So nothing new. Okay. Capturing moments from plays to concerts, forever. Nothing. So working with a lot of different athletes, working with a lot of different teams to create that. It just takes a production team to churn them out quickly and then find different ways to get them out. So I have a sports, a bit of a sports network, and I have a sports program that's going to air on Discovery Channel. But part of that, they want the highlights to go on ESPN, to go on, on different places, to go, on YouTube. And I've been talking to NBA players, NFL players, went to an event just Wednesday, esports / Atlanta United event. And so, you want to create some moments? Let's go. I got
No. So, because I work with players, I'm on the player side. So, as far as making those moments something that they're able to create and own, there's so many other people that own those IP rights.
Exactly. That's what I was telling the players. And listen, this is how you do that for you. Let's create that business for you, not for
what's up?
I told it. And one player came to me and he's really excited to talk. And I like to just talk to people, shoot the shit. And it lets me get to know you. And really not try to sell you something, because talent ain't selling.
No, not at all.
So he's on the phone, and that is marketing rep. And she's trying to be a big. I'm like, oh, I love you.
We've experienced the same thing. That's all I'm laughing.
And she was like, how do I want to say, like, I don't find out, like, come on, she would let the man talk, I don't know. And finally, I said, hey, okay, well, we'll get back to you. I want to do this. We'll get back to you. I said, any questions? I said, yes, I would like to talk to him. I said, he's already going to be put in a box by the NFL, by the college, put in the box by high school. And wherever he came from, don't put him in a box. And what he really wants to do is be in music. He plays instruments, so I said, then he called me without bio. We talked about how we could help him develop his own thing. Like LeBron, okay? I know LeBron's original agent. I'll tell you how. That's how it works. But, he broke out so he could be his own person. Whether you like LeBron or not, he decided, he knew he had to control his own brand, his own destiny, his own stuff without having somebody else telling him what to do or having a hand in his pocket.
I would also check out People Circle by Des Bryant. It's a branding company for athletes, and then they really focus on getting athletes into like NFTs and stuff like that. And they have a Super Bowl in LA, so I'm just a bunch of different events. Met these young athletes and whatnot. A lot of them are very interested in the space, the resources. Yeah. So I would definitely check out. So they have like a full stop service, like everything.
People circle.
Yeah, People Circle by Des Bryant. It's in his Instagram profile as well.
Yeah, we worked with the activation at Super Bowl, not this year, last year. And they, a lot of those athletes are, happy to help each other. We do this United for Impact. And so, like, just want to help each other.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of room for growth, especially with name, image, and likeness in the NCAA.
Yeah,
All these kids.
Exactly.
Like, I mean,
And a lot of these athletes just not, that on the field, off the field. A lot of them are, artists, musicians,
right.
visual artists, so they're really good.
Definitely.
Thank you.
I just one quick question, comment. My oldest son, so his thing is, why would I want to buy a moment off of NBA Top Shot when I can go on to YouTube? And so, from my understanding, what I'm trying to explain to him, like you all were saying, when it comes down to the NFL players, the NBA players, those are going to be specific moments that they're going to completely have themselves. And moments like that will not be on YouTube anymore. It will not be on CNN, whatever they show all of these things on. Everything will be paid, correct? Like now, when it comes to a special moment, you will not be able to go to YouTube 5-10 years from now. The only way you'll be able to see this specific dunk from LeBron is because you hold this specific moment.
Right, like the ouch Charlie that really hurts. Y'all remember that meme? They y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Okay, they sold that meme, I want to say, as an NFT for $40,000. You can't find it no more on like the memes on your store anywhere. It's completely taken down. But how old is your son?
He's 11.
11? Okay, this is like I understand you're trying to explain to him in regards to like money and aspects, but especially explaining to younger kids, this is like something I would do, like whatever is their prized possession, take a photo of it and take away the prized possession. And they'll be like, why can't I have it? You have a photo of it. So what do you need the aspect for? Like trying to explain to him in ways of like having something rather than like monetary gain. Because that might matter.
To kind of get him the understanding. So once he got into BB, he was like, okay, but still the fact, because he still sees YouTube and everything else is still out, he's still trying to figure that part out. I'm like, son, you're just a little ahead of your time.
Right. I would say, look, get it for him. Like a lot of times when it comes to
we have everything. I have 3 boys, and we're set up every which way possible. Every which way possible.
But honestly, it's like there's people twice his age, my age. I don't really care. But there's people my age who still don't understand the importance. So I think it took me months to understand concepts and things. So I would definitely just say, just give it time, and I'm sure he'll be able to adapt to it and like understand. Because there's, like I said, full-grown adults who look at me. I mean, when I started in social media making money, I was 2015. I started as an influencer making money with less than 3,000 followers in law school, and everyone looked at me stupid because I was making money on. You can't make money on social media. And now all the people from school pop up influencers. I just find it so funny. So it definitely, there's again grown people who don't even understand this new concept of like NFTs and what's the purpose. So I would just say just continue to do what you're doing and educate him and buying things over time, and he'll get it. I mean,
I try to keep him interested in what keeps his attention. Like right now, we're in a lot of play to earn games. Mm-hmm. So we are play to earn. So that's kind of getting them in that concept of, okay, not the instant gratification. Mm-hmm. Later on down the line, we're going to be a little bit more deeper in it. So I'm introducing things that I feel like is going to constantly keep their attention. And right now, play to earn games, guys. We don't have to hear about Fortnite no more in my damn house. I am so happy. I am making money because I lost so much money for Fortnite.
But you know what? Sometimes too with kids, it's because you're saying it because you're their parent. Sometimes all it takes is saying it from somebody else, maybe like they look up to. You know what I'm saying? Especially with now Des Bryant did an interview on like NFTs and stuff like that. Like bringing him to stuff like this, or finding different videos of people who he may like up to or respect. Again, I know it sounds crazy, but I was the same way with my mom when I was younger. Like, I'd be like, okay, mom, whatever. But then, like, my auntie say it, and I'd be like, oh, mom, so okay, I get it now. You know what I mean? So sometimes it's something as simple as that. But I'd say you're doing everything right. You're exposing it to them. You're providing the right information. So it's definitely just a matter of time before it, fully clicks with it.
I would just say it's about a sense of, understanding delayed gratification. And I think a lot of us, particularly people, have a problem with delayed gratification. It's now, give it to me now, because I might not get it tomorrow. Because I promise you, I don't think that way. I I'm sure. So if you kind of instill that, and talk about the good times that you all have had together. Those memories, no one can take that away from you. So it's kind of like that. NFTs kind of like that. Right back. Yeah, and then get them involved in coding. Help them learn how to. We have a coding class. Teach them how to make skins for those.
Like that's a little games.
Those kinds of ones. Get them into esports. There's so many different things you can do in the space that don't involve just buying and trading.
Yes, and I'm really happy you made that point because for me, I never thought of getting into NFTs as like a buyer and trader. Like even when it comes to like crypto, like I'm not a numbers person. My brother got those genes. That's just not me. I'm very strategy, conceptualized type of person. So for me, I saw my way Web3 is marketing in the back end and launching these projects and strategies. So I always like to relate this to people, especially people of color. Like you don't have to be a buyer and seller of things. You can still make your money in Web3 by providing these services, getting equity in these companies that you work for. And if you want to invest into NFTs and stuff after that, cool. But there's definitely a lane for everybody in this space, and it doesn't have to be buying and flipping, PFP projects.
They see us enough as consumers. We are the most coveted demographic, especially as Black women. Everybody wants a piece of us, a piece of our money. We make decisions for our families, for ourselves, for our men, regardless of color, gender, whatever you identify. We make those decisions, and everybody wants. Don't just be a freaking consumer. Be that person that creates the stuff that you consume.
Yeah. Even if you see a dope project, a lot of people will give you equity to say, hey, if you're an accountant, can I help look at your numbers?
Exactly.
Cool, we'll give you every person that's come to me has offered me equity in their project. Every single person. Some more valuable than others, but people are always willing to offer equity and tokens, et cetera, because it's the tech space. That's low-key what they've been doing anyway. So again, not to be a consumer, but any type of expertise that you have, whether it be from accounting to art to copywriting to strategy, et cetera, reach out to these companies and not only get paid, you get a piece of the project too. Any other questions?
I would just add on, if you're interested in coding at all, learn how to code a smart contract, because I have people ask me all the time, if I have time to do a smart contract, I'm a developer, and I just don't. So if you don't have time and the desire to learn about how to do smart contracts,
yes.
And it's free courses that teach you that on YouTube online. You don't need no type of degree, nothing
like crypto zombies, like they mentioned earlier.
Yes.
That's why I point everyone towards. It's really, really easy to figure out what's on.
I'm wondering from coming here, I'm coming from just a traditional kind of visual artist, like painting and canvas paper, mixed media, old school photography, on film, all kind of processes. You see anything to make one of these is a couple $100 in Ethereum, really somebody like me wouldn't have money for that.
No, there's different ways. I work with, like I said, visual artists, photographers, writers, or whatever, and a lot of, traditional artists.
Right, so there's a space for people.
Yeah,
they have to go out digital.
Yeah. You can attach an NFT to physical art. 90% of the artists are traditional artists that are on NFTs. They have photography, they have physical, actual pieces. So you can literally, whatever image you want to show, is connect that to a physical piece. You don't necessarily have to get into the visual.
No, you don't have to be you don't have to be a graphic artist or digital artist first. You can take that and you can take your, static print and digitize. You can make it come to life. Or you think about the physical, because everybody doesn't want to just, hey, look at my NFT on my phone. Or they don't have giant screen issue. So they might want a lithograph. They might want a canvas. They might want something visible. How does that work? So don't just think it has to just. Okay. I work building out a gallery and a marketplace specific to going to the book, it's an agency that helps. Do a lot of work.
How do you spell that?
Lebo, L-E-B-O-O-K.
Yes. Okay. I think an important part of her question was around just getting access into these places where you don't have the funds to start. So just wanted to kind of get some information from both of you. Like, I know we talked about earlier, like, people having access, and I mean, regularly, all here we have the ability to pay to get in here, but for those that are trying to start to get into this space, and or for us that are like, we want to bring people in, that's definitely one of the parts that makes it challenging, is because if you want to either be an owner or if you want to like start something, the challenge is like having the funds to do so. So do you have any insight or information around people who are trying to, information around how to get into this but get into this industry where it's not such a burden financially?
Twitter is a really, really good networking space. There's always people who are actually volunteer community managers, helping you with developing graphics, et cetera, whatever it is that you need, but then also inserting your value as well. So I tell people you either use your time or your money. If you don't have the money, that means utilizing your time. So offering something of value to somebody else so they can come help you, type of collaboration. So shooting your business shot, as I like to call it, whether that be in the DMs, on Twitter Spaces, et cetera. There's literally always people I see on Twitter that are always interested in being volunteer community managers, helping out with smart contracts, providing resources, et cetera. So putting yourself out there in those spaces, like I said, following like NFT and crypto and all those different things, Twitter Spaces, and literally saying, hey, I'm looking to collaborate with somebody, whether you share ownership of something or there's some type of like thing that you can provide. It definitely works. When I started my business, I quit my job. I had no money, no savings, no nothing. And the only way I got stuff done was I either YouTube and learned it, or I would reach out to people and say, hey, I'll create content for you for 2 months for free if you do my books, or if you help me with this, or you help me with that. So I always tell people, like, if you want stuff done, you don't have the money, always lead with value and say, hey, I can offer this for you if you're interested in collaborating with me on this project.
You should offer value.
Regardless, but yeah, always lead with that.
Yeah, whatever you do with yourself, give something away. Just give it back. You'd be amazed what you can give it back. And then, there are ways to create. There's different ways to get yourself. Or, like I said, collaborate. You're a great artist, and I'm looking for somebody to draw or to compose or to do something. And then match them up. Most of my things are very seldom a body's collection. They're just like single folks just doing. Like we've been with there's a catalog repurposing. But a lot of those songs have to be remixed. So somebody else, we're gonna do some. We're gonna do their mixed version of that particular song. But I need cover. It's that too? Seven brand. Yeah. Oh, yeah, so 7. Yeah, so and I know somebody that has a brand called 7 as a kid. So maybe you all get together. These are amazing. Beautiful.
Shoot your business shot. I always tell people, closed mouths don't get fed. Like, right. You don't know unless you put it out there and say, hey, I can do this, you need help. Reaching out to people. You'll find people who literally, especially in the Web3 space, because they're really big on collaborating in regards to projects. So definitely shoot your business shot.
Yeah, I found that. Yeah, that's on the most of the stuff I've done is by collaborating. Do a lot of stuff. Collaborate. And and pick up the phone, people. There's nothing wrong picking up the phone. All folks. I used to sit in my office. That's when I with big companies, and I'm like, oh man, I was afraid to call you because if you were busy, you wouldn't pick up the phone. Like I'm begging for somebody to call me. Please talk to me. So yeah, pick up the phone. Don't be afraid. All they can say is no. I mean, most of the time they're looking for somebody to help them because they pretend to know a lot. See, I don't know. But
So that is key. I remember my dad says, you really become an adult girl when you realize you don't know anything. And I was like 18, like, I know everything. I'm in college. What you mean? Like, but I realized that, like, as I continue to get older and older, I don't know nothing. So you have a question?
I was just going to say that also keep in mind that those Ethereum gas fees are going to drop significantly in the fall. So like you got like if you wanted to start prepping now and like getting your collections up now, by the time it was actually time to mint come this fall, those fees are going to go way to practically nothing.
To nothing, because we moved from proof of work to proof of stake. Proof of work requires gas for every transaction. Proof of stake doesn't utilize that system. It's a totally different idea. So gas goes away entirely.
So you're seeing a $300 fee now might be
Zero.
a tenth or
No, zero, it'll be zero. Because it'll be a totally different system. And we're screaming towards that right now. So get your project ready now. She needs at least 90 days. So, I mean, start, you know what I'm saying? Like, start prepping now.
Yeah, except you need 90 days. I need projects to start in the marketplace. And we can work together.
Yeah. You're here right now, you're still early.
Yes.
Just remember that.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, just a couple more.
Like I just like, yes, I really appreciate you both.
No problem.
Well, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you all the mission.
Roll Tide.
We'll be back next year.
Yeah, we're here. We're here every year.